Hello, my name is Osei-Yaw. I'm a poet, a performer, a writer, a musician, and a practicing fine artist with a background in psychology. I'd like to introduce to you the Djembe drum. The Djembe skin drum is a popular West African drum that originates from Mali but can be found all over the world now. The name Djembe comes from the Bambara phrase Ankaje Ankabe, which means let us gather together in peace or in harmony. Well, in my consultancy, I use rhythm to equip mostly children with a foundation in composition. In other words, I use rhythm instruments such as the djembe to help give children a foundation in composition. And you know, composition is what enables a child to grow and perform at their highest level of creativity. So I'm going to demonstrate a bit to you how I use the instrument to lay the building blocks of composition in the child. So I normally have what's called rhythm sessions in my consultancy, and the objective, or the goal I should say, as I've already mentioned, is that we equip mostly children with a foundation in composition using rhythm. Now, this is the instrument that provides the rhythm. And the way we use the instrument is as a tool to explore cultures through their native rhythms. I mean, cultures from all over the world through their native rhythms. So we use the djembe as a tool. In my consultancy, I use the djembe as a tool to explore cultures through their native rhythms. Now, first of all, the rhythm you heard me play before, which sounds like, it's an example of one of the rhythms of native cultures. It comes from the eastern part of Ghana, which is called the Volta region, and the name of the rhythm is the Agbaja rhythm. And then you have several other rhythms from all over the world as well. Of course, we have the Pantula rhythm from South Africa that sounds like, and then we have the Samba rhythm that goes like, from Brazil. So there are several other rhythms, rhythms from Myanmar, rhythms from Nigeria, rhythms from all over the world. So what I do as a consultant is regularly increase my repertoire of rhythms. Now, in order to play those rhythms on the djembe, you need to understand or know the three basic beats with which to navigate on the djembe, and they are the bass, the slap, and then the tone. Now, so it is in the process of building these rhythms that we lay the building blocks of composition in children. So let's begin with the first element, which is texture. Now, texture is a surface quality. So in this medium of sound, the surface quality is interpreted in the quality of the sound that's produced. And the element of texture focuses on the individual beats, the bass, the slap, and the tone. And this is normally for the ages from 6 months old to 1 year, and then you have the under 2s to 3 years, and then you have the under 3s to 4 years. I should say that in our in our administration of this rhythm, in building the foundations of composition, we also have some understanding of certain cognitive processes to do with children. So back to the element of texture, that gives emphasis on the individual beats. So like I said already, texture is a surface quality, and in certain cases between certain age groups, they could have just these three beats for a whole year. They could be exposing their sessions for an entire year or even more, because it's important to begin with a good texture for the beat. So now you have the bass, the slap, and the tone. So the quality of it is what we work on. So producing the best texture for the bass. And then a good texture for the tone, the slap, and then the tone. Because these are the most important beats that you need to navigate your way through the instrument. And then we move to the next element, the element of line or linear element, which is now the combination of 3 beats, bass, slap, tone, in a progressive form or progressive way. And this normally is a challenge for the under 2s, the under 2s and 3s, because they're able to play the beats individually, yet when it comes to playing them progressively, it takes time for them to build that. So we normally put this section of the element for the 4 years between ages 4 and ages 5 or 6. So you have bass, slap, and tone in that order. Bass, slap, and tone. And well, of course, children learn from gestures and facial expressions, and they love rhythm. So you go like bass, slap, and tone. In other words, bass, slap, tone, bass, slap, tone, bass, slap, tone. And then you find some of them go like bass, slap, tone. So it takes them a little time from the start, and then as they move on, they get better. Now, from the element of the linear or the line to the element of the shape. And we all know shapes are a combination of lines. So you have bass, slap, tone, bass, slap, tone, and then tone, slap, bass, which is another direction, and then you can go slap, tone, bass. Okay, so we vary the different progressions of the different lines, and to stimulate the activity, understanding of the rhythm amongst the children. And this is normally from ages 5 to 6, getting into 7 thereabout. So now they go bass, slap, tone, then tone, bass, slap, and slap, tone, bass. So different variations of it. Well, so this is the element of shape. And now, from the element of shape, we come to a very important element called color. Color. Basically, in this form, color is interpreted as excitement. Okay? So basically, we're going to add excitement from where we left off, which was from shape. So you take the 3 basic beats once again. So bass, slap, tone. Okay? Bass, slap, tone. Well, even before color, there's an important element that comes in between the shape and color, which is the form. Form. F-O-R-M. Form. And we all know that a form is a 3-dimensional element. A form is a 3-dimensional element. So over here, it normally begins from the ages of 6 and above. So they begin to learn the quality or the value of the notes. So you pick a full note, you hit 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a half note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a quarter note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a 1/8 note, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, with the value of the notes and also counting, we're able to create a form. Now, what happens is that the shapes or the different sounds are now translated by the form into something different. So the quality of the notes taken into consideration and counting such as 1, 2, 3, go, stop, tone, okay? Now with the quality of the notes and counting, the beats, the 3 basic beats now metamorphose into another kind. So from bass, slap, tone into bass, slap, tone, slap, bass, slap, tone, slap. And then that takes us to the next element of color. Now, like I said before, color is simply excitement. So we're going to add some excitement to our new kind of bass slap tone, which is bass slap tone slap. Now, I interpret color in this form of sound as the tempo. So you have bass slap tone slap, and you add a little color. You do something to the tempo, and it transforms into bass slap tone slap, bass slap tone slap, bass slap tone slap, bass slap, which sounds kind of like funk. So you're able to get something like funk out of it with a little color to our shapes. Now, we all know that colors come in different shades. So the next element is the shade. Now, the shade is the presence or absence of a certain amount of light. Like when you take red or blue, a darker shade of blue will have less light than a lighter shade of blue. So, shade. And now, I interpret light in this form as energy. So now, we're going to look at 2 different rhythms or beats that make use of the bass and then the tone. And then see which one is a lighter shade or a darker shade, or which one has more energy than the other. So, let's try these 2. Something a bit jazzy, such as and then something a bit heavy metal rock like. Now comparing these 2, which one in your opinion has more light or has more energy? Which one is a darker shade or lighter shade of the other? In my opinion, the heavy metal rock sort of carries more energy than the jazzy one. But anyway, it's just to impart the elements of shade. Well, I think the energy depends on whoever's playing. I can make the jazzy one even sound more energetic than the heavy metal one. But by nature, the heavy metal one sounds more energetic than the jazzy one. So that's just to enlighten about the elements of shade. Now, that brings us to our final element, and one of the most important, because from that stage, you're moving to actually playing this these native rhythms. And it is the element, of depth. Depth, great. We all know that depth actually comes from the viewpoint of the observer. And since we use our instrument as a tool to explore native cultures around the world, definitely there will be some rub-off of emotions. For example, let's take two different rhythms that make use again of the bass and tone from different parts of the world. Let me borrow one from Ghana, what I actually started with, the Agbaja rhythm that goes like this. Well, we know this in Ghana, and we know how we feel when this is played in Ghana. Now, when the children now come across another form of the bass and tone played differently from what they're used to, of course, it has the ability to trigger some emotiveness or emotional creativity that affects their perspective and, of course, broadens their perspective. So let's use, once again, the heavy metal rock rhythm, which goes like, that sounds very different from, so this element of depth, it's a very important element, and it's able to really broaden the horizon and perspective of the kids as we lay the foundations of composition. So, thank you very much for staying with me. This is how we lay the foundations or the building blocks of composition in the child, using rhythm and using the djembe as a rhythmic instrument. Thank you very much. Before I go, let me just play this rhythm for you to enjoy from Ghana, which is the Pan Logo rhythm.